Chapter 3. The Mystical Village of Illusions Encounter, a Woman Named Sue. Chapter 3-1. Ace's Camp. Sabrina woke to the glare of moonlight, reflecting off the truck's rear window. Pulling herself free from beneath the rough brown blanket, she noticed Robert, still fast asleep beside her. Careful not to wake him, she slid her sword's sheath into her hand and quietly hopped out of the truck bed. They had stopped in front of a large military tent. The camp glowed with harsh light from mounted poles, casting long shadows across the ground. People in military-style clothing wandered about, their movements brisk, focused, purposeful. "So, you're finally awake, huh?" "Sleeping beauty," Clayton called playfully from behind her. Sabrina turned to find him talking with a man she didn't recognize. Both gave her a wave. "Hi there. You must be friends of Ace," the stranger said. "My name is Nathan. I help run this campsite." Sabrina studied him briefly before turning her attention to Barry. "Are you all enhanced too?" she asked. Nathan shook his head. "No, not at all. We're just a group of refugees who decided to fight back against the Alliance of Darkness. Ace, Robert, and Jason are the only enhanced here. The rest of us are ordinary people with the determination to take Earth back." His conviction burned through every word. "I see," Sabrina murmured. Her gaze shifted to Barry. "I'm still trying to wrap my head around the power of this sword you gave me. Where did you say it came from again?" Barry's expression hardened. "It was a gift from the locals at the Mount Thanasima Temple. My brother trained there before he was killed. Before he left, he told me the temple was rumored to grant unimaginable power. I thought he was crazy, but he was desperate. All he wanted was a way to fight the Alliance. Every time I used the sword today, I felt something alive inside it, almost like something was speaking to you." Barry finished. "Mine does the same. Maybe my brother was onto something after all. I can't explain it, but there's power in these blades." Sabrina's eyes lingered on the strange symbols etched across their swords. "Do you have any idea what these markings mean?" "Clayton thinks they're not from Earth," Barry replied. "The metal box they came in was covered in some alien script." Her brows furrowed. Barry nodded gravely. "After seeing what you did today, I'm starting to believe he's right." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "We need to figure out how to unlock their power. Somehow, something about us makes them respond. I always thought your skill came from training, but maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's been inside you all along. Fighting comes naturally to me, but what you see is the result of hard work. Most fighters don't realize there's more to swordplay than brute strength," Sabrina said. "Explain," Barry urged. "A lot of it is understanding your opponent's style. Defensive fighters thrive on close combat, keeping you pinned. Offensive ones prefer distance, preventing damage while striking from afar. Knowing which you're facing is the key." Barry nodded slowly. "That's incredible. Thanks to Clayton's lessons and my own experience, I've learned to beat both," she replied. Then her tone shifted. "Why did you put me in the back of the truck like that?" Barry smirked. "Actually, I only laid you down in the bed like everyone else. You and Robert cuddled on your own." Her eyes widened. "You mean you didn't put us together?" "Of course not." Sabrina frowned, confused at the smile tugging at his lips. "What's so funny?" "You're a good person, Sabrina, but your loner attitude hides it." Her voice lowered. "Everyone who gets close to me ends up hurt. That's why I left Clayton. That's why I walk alone. It's better that way for everyone." She turned to leave, but Barry's words froze her mid-step. "That's a lonely way to live. It's good to have someone in your corner. I learned that too late. Maybe my brother would still be alive if I hadn't." Sabrina gasped softly. "But we don't have to live that way anymore," he added. This might be our chance to change everything. I hope so, she whispered before vanishing into the campsite. Nathan broke Barry's trance. Ace can't stop talking about her skills. For the first time in years, people here have hope. Barry looked after Sabrina with a faint smile. That feeling is spreading, he admitted. Maybe we really can save the world. Nathan gestured toward the truck. Robert's awake. Barry turned to see Robert jumping down from the bed, his face tense. Where's Sabrina? He demanded. You just missed her. She's probably getting food or a place to sleep, Barry answered, pointing toward the tents. Nearby, Clayton caught sight of two young women in short military uniforms and nearly forgot to breathe. Now this, I could get used to, he muttered. Barry grinned. Same here. Nathan chuckled. They may be beautiful, but don't forget, they're soldiers. Trained killers. Be careful. Message received. The boys walked past the women and into a nearby tent. You never know. You should shoot your shot, came a familiar voice. Clayton turned to see Ace behind them, dressed now in casual military gear. Oh, it's just you, Clayton said, smiling. What's up? I'm ready to move out if you are. Robert, I know you're eager to find Jason. I'm eager to end this nightmare, Ace replied. Robert shook his head. Not tonight. We need food, showers, and rest. I still have hunter guts on me. Ace nodded. Fair enough. We've got hunters who bring in game, and we've been eating mostly seafood lately. I'll catch you all in the morning. I have a meeting with the camp leaders. With that, he disappeared into another tent. Nathan gestured forward. Come on, I'll show you to your tent. There's a hot spring nearby if you want to clean up before resting. The moon hung high in the center of the sky, bathing the camp in silver light. For once, the night was peaceful. Chapter 3-2, Jungle's Heist. Jungle sprinted across the vast grasslands, the night air whipping past him as he carried his prize. He had not lied when he boasted about knowing the location of the Southern Hemisphere stone. On his back, strapped inside a rough bag, rested the white gold stone, a crystalline relic that pulsed faintly with otherworldly light. Its glow shimmered through the fabric like a hidden fire, every flicker a reminder of its untold power. I've finally obtained one of the stones. Draken and the rest of the Alliance will be pleased, he declared, his deep voice echoing through the open plains. Despite his speed, Jungle's form was unmistakably monstrous. His towering frame was twice the height of an ordinary man, his body wide and heavily muscled. At first glance, his hands seemed human, but his nails curved sharp like the claws of a carnivorous beast. A single horn jutted from his forehead, catching the silver moonlight as he ran. Behind him thundered a barrage of warrior refugees on horseback, their machine guns rattling in unison. Explosions erupted across the field as they fired, shaking the ground with every burst. Shadow's psychic powers came in handy, revealing its location to me. The Harpoonian should never have left it with these morons, Jungle shouted over the roar of gunfire. Suddenly, he stopped and spun around, sprinting backward at the same blinding pace. Bullets whistled past his head, tearing into the grass and earth. How is he outrunning us backwards? One of the warriors cried in disbelief. Jungle laughed, leaping toward the nearest horseman. In one brutal motion, he hurled both man and horse into the dirt with bone-cracking force. The others pulled back in horror at the sight of their fallen comrade. Be careful, men. Don't let that monster catch you, their commander warned. Jungle's laughter carried across the field. Pathetic insects. I could wipe you all out in a heartbeat, but I have more urgent matters to attend to. Still running backward, he swatted down 2 more horsemen as though they were nothing but flies. The warriors roared in defiance. We can't let him steal the stone of our village. Stop him, the commander barked. Jungle touched the bag slung across his back, the golden light within, seeping faintly through the rough cloth. His expression twisted into something cruel. He launched himself into the air with a single earth-shaking leap, ripping the strap free as the relic clung tightly to him. "This is our last chance, Fire," one of the natives shouted. But their aim faltered when monstrous bat-like wings tore out from Jungle's back with a sickening crack. They spread wide and flapped furiously, generating a gale so fierce that horses staggered and stumbled, their hooves scraping desperately against the ground. Warriors clung to their saddles as the winds nearly flung them aside. Jungle grinned. "We've got one." With another powerful thrust of his wings, he soared upward, higher and higher, the white gold stone glowing like a captive star on his back, until his hulking figure vanished into the night sky. "He got away!" one of the warriors cried, slamming his fist into the earth in frustration. The plains grew quiet again. The devastation faded beneath the silver wash of moonlight, leaving only the broken ground, the bitter defeat of those who had tried to stop him, and the memory of the stolen light now carried away into the heavens. Chapter 3-3. My mind playing tricks on me. A luminous full moon hung at its highest point above Ace's camp. Clayton, Barry, and the rest of the team slept peacefully inside their tents. Not far from camp, Sabrina soaked in the hot springs, steam rising around her as she tried to bring relief to her aching muscles. The night was still, her body easing under the warm water. This kind of peace was rare, almost foreign to her. Her eyes fluttered open, purple hair drifting with the soft breeze. She tilted her head back against the stone ledge, letting her thoughts wander. For a moment, she recalled the warmth she'd felt in the truck, pressed against Robert's chest. Her eyes grew heavy, and she drifted into slumber in the water's embrace. Fast forward to the next day. Sunlight spilled over the eastern horizon. Inside one of the larger tents, Robert and Ace lay in sleeping bags stretched across separate box springs. Clayton and Barry slept across from them, sprawled in their own. Sabrina had set up her mat between the two groups, a quiet line in the middle. She was the first to stir. Quietly, she slipped out of her sleeping bag and rolled it with practiced precision. Years of roaming had taught her that sleeping in was a luxury one couldn't afford. Dressing quickly, she laced her combat boots tight. She folded her long sleep tee and workout shorts neatly into her bag. For a rare moment of vanity, she stood before the single cracked mirror nailed to the tent wall and got her appearance together. She reached for her sword, then froze. Out of the corner of her eye, something moved. A shadow, a figure. She spun, blade half drawn. Nothing, only the tent flaps, swaying with the morning breeze. Her jaw tightened, she shook it off and kicked the men awake. One by one, they groaned and stirred. Strapping her sword across her back, Sabrina stepped outside. Only a few others were up at this hour. Young men and women were gathering at the edge of the woods, beginning their training drills. She watched their warm-ups for a moment until her eyes snagged on something else. A figure among the trees. Her breath caught. From the back, the woman looked familiar. The black robe, the stance, the curve of her shoulders. Mother? The robed woman slipped deeper into the trees. Without thinking, Sabrina followed. Branches closed around her, shadows twisting as the figure moved further and further away. Sabrina quickened her pace, heart pounding, but just as she was about to close the distance, gone. The forest stood empty. Only silence remained. Sabrina's chest rose and fell sharply. "My mind must be playing tricks on me," she whispered. Her hands trembled as she lowered her sword. That woman looked exactly like my mom. She shook her head, trying to dispel the image, and turned back toward the camp. Chapter 3 to 4. Jason's pain. The boys and Clayton stirred from their sleep. Everyone dressed quickly, already aware of what the day demanded. Their belongings were packed in silence, each man eager to find Sabrina and get moving. "All right, guys, who's ready to save the world?" Ace declared, tossing his bag into the back of the truck with a grin. Muffled grumbles rippled through the group. Jason couldn't have gotten far. "We'll head west first," Robert said firmly. Barry frowned. "Remind me again, why is finding this guy so important? Why not go straight for the Alliance?" Ace's expression darkened, the weight of memory in his eyes. "Jason's wife was killed by hunters a few months ago. She was a part of my special reinforcements team. He tried to save not only her, but everyone else back at camp while Robert and I were away. I won't let their sacrifice be in vain. Protecting him is the least I can do." Robert stepped in, his voice steady. "He's more than my best friend. He's like a brother to me. Wouldn't you go to any length for your family?" His eyes hardened. "Besides, we need him. He's enhanced. Right now, we need every ounce of strength we can get." Barry thought of his own fallen brother. His chest tightened. "I understand. Let's go get him." Clayton crossed his arms. "We need a lead. Any clue where he might have gone? What's the last thing he said to you?" Robert's silence was louder than any answer. Ace and the others exchanged uneasy looks. "Robert?" Ace pressed. "If there's something we need to know, now's the time." Robert let out a long breath, then relented. "Lately, Jason's been talking about sneaking away to meet with the Alliance. I told him it was suicide, but he felt like he had to try." Ace's eyes widened. "Meet with them? For what?" "I don't know," Robert admitted, but Jason believed the Alliance had the power to raise the dead. Clayton glanced at Ace, his tone grave. "And his wife died just a few months ago. I'd say his motive is clear." Disappointment weighed heavily on Ace. Memories of the soldiers who'd fallen under his command gnawed at him, but he kept his expression cold. "Sounds like we got our work cut out for us." The voice came from behind them. Everyone turned. Sabrina stepped forward, calm but watchful. Robert's shoulders eased with relief. "We thought you left us," he said. "I thought I saw something, but it was nothing," Sabrina replied, her eyes flicking toward the tree line. Ace snapped his focus back to Robert. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Jason put all of us at risk. He begged me to keep it secret," Robert said quietly. "I thought it was just grief talking." Barry's jaw tightened. "Then we'd better find him fast and get the truth straight from him." Ace straightened, rallying the group. "Good enough for me. All right, team. It's time to take our planet back. The trucks are fueled. Let's move." Robert glanced over. "We're still picking up Sue first, right? You know how to get to her village?" 4 hours down the highway," Ace answered. "Runs right by the village. You can't miss it." Robert gave a single, firm nod. Chapter 3 to 5. Tensions rise. They piled into the truck, ready to begin their journey. Ace pushed the vehicle down the vacant highway at top speed while Robert rode shotgun. 2 more army trucks trailed close behind, completing their convoy. Clayton, Sabrina, and Barry bounced in the back, bracing against the full force of the wind as dust and sand whipped into the bed. The ride was anything but comfortable. Abandoned gas stations blurred past, and corpses lay rotting along the roadside. The sun climbed to its peak, beating down on the synchronized caravan as it pressed forward. 4 hours passed. Clayton scanned the horizon and frowned. There was no sign of the village. "I don't understand," he muttered. "We should have reached it by now." Sabrina shook her head, equally puzzled. "I wouldn't know. I've never been there myself." "Maybe we just need to go a little further," Barry suggested. Disaster struck before they could debate further. All 4 tires blew at once. The deafening blasts jolted the truck as Ace fought to keep it from flipping. By sheer control, he managed to grind to a stop without rolling. Behind them, the other two vehicles weren't as fortunate, skidding wildly before overturning, metal shrieking as they landed roof first. Ace's group leapt out, weapons drawn, scanning the area for threats. In the chaos, they nearly missed the sight of their convoy's tires spinning helplessly in the dirt. Robert rushed to the nearest wreck and peered inside. The driver, though shaken, was alive. Robert turned back to Ace. "Are you all right?" "Holy hell, yeah, I'm fine," Ace answered, brushing dust off himself. "Not the first crash I've been in, but I wasn't ready for that roll. Did anyone see what shredded the tires?" Robert shook his head. Sabrina's eyes narrowed. She gripped her sword, tension in every muscle. Barry caught her expression. "What is it, Sabrina?" She didn't answer. Her focus remained sharp, as though she could sense an unseen enemy. Ace and Robert quickly tallied the survivors. Apart from scrapes and bruises, everyone was accounted for. Clayton and Barry helped patch up minor wounds, and relief rippled through the team. They had been lucky this time. "All the tires have bullet holes," Briggs, one of the drivers, announced grimly. Ace crouched and inspected the rubber. "Good eye, Briggs." The group dusted themselves off and prepared for a long walk. 10 strong, they stood together. "None of your people are enhanced," Barry said, concern edging his voice. "Are you sure they'll be all right?" Ace met his gaze. "They may not be enhanced, but they're the best fighters my camp has to offer. I call them my special reinforcements. Don't underestimate them. They can handle themselves." One of the men, a massive wall of muscle nearly Barry's height, overheard. He stalked forward, a vein throbbing at his temple as he stared Barry down. "You got a problem with us?" he barked, teeth gritted. Barry didn't flinch. "How did you figure that?" "I was only asking if we..." The man shoved him hard in the chest, though barely moving Barry. Sabrina smirked, amused. "Now you've done it." Barry drove a swift jab into the man's jaw, the impact sending him crashing against the nearest truck with enough force to leave a dent in the metal. The air grew heavy with tension, thick with raw testosterone. He got up and charged towards Barry, but Ace jumped between them before the brawl escalated. "Cut it out! This isn't the time to fight each other." "He's lucky I held back. A lot." The brute Briggs snorted, like a bull ready to charge, but Ace held him back. Barry's chest rose and fell with sharp breaths as he tried to calm his pounding heart. Both men knew they needed to stand down, even if their pride screamed otherwise. Chapter 3 to 6. The Power of the Illusions. Tempers heating up meant their attentions were diverted. 2 strange men approached with twin pistols aimed squarely at the group. Their clothing was plain, old white vests and rugged jeans. One of them, Joseph, an African-American man with a lighter complexion than Sabrina, carried himself with tense aggression. The other, Gabriel, was a stocky Caucasian with a mean scowl etched across his face. "Everybody freeze," Gabriel barked. Ace and the others stared in disbelief. "Are you guys from the Mystic Village?" Clayton asked hopefully. Joseph ignored the question. The sudden threat turned Barry and Briggs from rivals to allies, and the two stood shoulder to shoulder, ready to fight. "I'm guessing these fools are the ones responsible for shooting out our tires," Ace said coldly. "You darn right we are. Surrender all of your weapons now," Joseph demanded. Sabrina smirked, her earlier suspicions confirmed. "I knew it. Just a couple of thieves who prey on travelers. I've seen this trick before." "That's right, pretty lady," Gabriel sneered. "Since you know the drill, make it quick. We don't have all day." "The tires, though?" "Really?" Ace snapped. The thieves cocked their weapons. "All this talking is getting old," Joseph growled. "Let's just shoot them and get it over with." Ace drew his blade, holding it out in defiance. Only he would be cocky enough to bring a sword to a gunfight. "You guys owe us a new set of wheels." Gunfire erupted. Bullets roared across the open air, only to stop inches away, clashing against an invisible barrier. Ace's body blurred with teleport-like speed, intercepting each shot. When the thieves' pistols finally clicked empty, Ace stood unmoved, his blade smoking faintly. The gunmen froze in disbelief. "Only one of the enhanced could stop bullets like that," Gabriel cried. Ace smirked, but Barry stepped in. "All right, thieves. That's enough. Get out of here." Sabrina folded her arms, an amused look in her eyes. Joseph gritted his teeth. "We survive off stealing. Enhanced or not, we'll pry your weapons and clothes off your dead bodies." "And how exactly do you plan on doing that?" Ace challenged. Joseph pulled 3 thin silver bullets from his pocket. The shells were etched with the word devil. "These babies can pierce anything. We killed a few soldiers in weird spacesuits to get them," Gabriel said with a twisted grin. "Let's see if your fast friend can stop this." They reloaded. Ace's voice dropped into a growl as he readied his stance. "Well, we tried asking nicely. Guess we'll have to settle this the old-fashioned way." Suddenly, a group of 50 figures appeared behind the 2 thieves, forming a small army. Unlike Joseph and Gabriel, these newcomers wore ancient-looking clothing. At their center walked a striking woman carrying a glowing staff. She was different. Draped in ornate dark leather and flowing arcane robes, she looked more like a battle mage than a noble. She looks powerful, deliberate, and unmistakably dangerous. Her face, beautiful and commanding, carried a strong resemblance to Sabrina, and the violet light from her staff cast sharp shadows across her features, making her presence feel almost supernatural. "That's enough. Lower your weapons," the woman commanded. Clayton gasped. "Susanna? Sabrina? Clayton? What are you 2 doing here?" Sue's voice carried genuine shock. Joseph and Gabriel exchanged looks of confusion. "And just who the heck are you?" Gabriel demanded. "Somebody you don't want to mess with," Sue answered with calm confidence. Ace's lips curled into a grin. "I like her already." But Gabriel didn't back down. He kept his gun leveled at Ace's head. "These bullets say otherwise. You should have never interfered, woman. None of you are leaving alive." "Pretty bold words," Sue said, her eyes sharp. "Considering you're outnumbered." Tension snapped taut. Ace gripped his sword, knuckles whitening. "My patience is running low. Lower your weapons, or I'll give you a reason to shoot." Gabriel's finger tightened on the trigger. Sue raised her staff. A purplish orb glowed at its head, casting an eerie light. Gabriel's eyes suddenly matched the same violet hue. Sabrina and Clayton exchanged startled looks. "Now that's interesting," Sabrina muttered. In an instant, Gabriel's reality shifted. He no longer stood on the desolate highway. Instead, he was inside a sultry barroom filled with alluring women in revealing waitress outfits. Neon-lit walls displayed provocative posters as laughter and flirtation filled the air. "What is this sorcery?" he gasped. Women surrounded him, stroking his chin and draping themselves over his shoulders. "You don't want to stay with us?" one whispered. Gabriel tried to push them away. "I don't have time for this." But then their faces twisted, shifting into grotesque samurai masks with bloodshot eyes. Their nails grew into razor-sharp claws. Gabriel's blood ran cold. "You're not human!" he shouted, fumbling for his knife. Outside the illusion, Joseph shook Gabriel's shoulder. "Gabe, are you okay?" Sue's voice was calm. "He can't hear you. He's trapped in the mirage." Joseph aimed his gun at Sue. "What did you do to him?" Sue turned her staff toward him, The orb pulsed, and his eyes glowed purple. The desert melted away. Before Joseph, a towering samurai warrior appeared in black and red armor, a burning sword in hand. Joseph fell back, trembling. "It's not real. It's not real." Both men screamed in their private terrors. Gabriel curled into a corner, the masked women closing in. Joseph crawled backward as the armored samurai raised its sword high. Then, with a flash of purple light, the illusions ended. Both thieves lay curled on the ground, pale and shaking. Ace exhaled slowly. "You two look like you've seen a ghost." "She's a witch. Let's get out of here," Gabriel shrieked. The thieves scrambled to their feet and fled down the road, running as though the devil himself was on their heels. The group erupted in laughter. Chapter 3 to 7. The Mystic Elder. Sue ran forward and threw her arms around Clayton, squeezing him in a joyous embrace. Her excitement caught him completely off guard. "Whoa now." Clayton laughed, returning the hug warmly. "It's been a whole year since I've been away. I've missed you and Sabrina so much," Sue said, breaking away only to rush over and envelop her sister. "I've missed you too," Sabrina said with a rare smile. "You've trained well here," Clayton nodded, holding Sue tight for a brief moment before another voice carried through the air. "Yes, she has." A man stepped forward from among Sue's followers. He was of Caucasian descent, draped in a long white robe tied neatly around his body, with simple sandals on his feet. His height matched Clayton's at 6'2", but his age showed in his weathered features and full trimmed beard. He held the same staff as Sue, marked with the glowing village symbol. Gasps erupted from Ace, Robert, Barry, and the others. Sue and her followers immediately dropped to their knees, bowing low. Clayton frowned in confusion. "What are you doing?" Without lifting her head, Sue explained softly. "The people of this village hold their guardian in the highest regard. Bowing is the proper way to honor him whenever he appears." The man stepped forward, with calm dignity. "It is nice to finally meet you, Clayton. I am the one known as the Mystic Elder." Sue and the villagers rose to their feet again as Clayton straightened. "The pleasure is mine," Clayton replied respectfully. The Mystic Elder smiled faintly. "Sue has told me how you taught her and Sabrina everything they know. I see you are a man of great wisdom, someone worthy of such students." Clayton chuckled. "Thank you for the flattery, Mystic Elder." Suddenly, the barren desert highway around them shimmered and shifted. In the blink of an eye, the world transformed into a vast, breathtaking grassland. The horizon stretched with scattered huts and houses, bathed in soft sunlight. Barry spun in a circle, bewildered. "What the? Where did the desert go?" Clayton's eyes widened as realization struck. "I knew the village was in this area. I should have guessed you had the ability to cloak it." Sabrina looked down as the cracked asphalt beneath her boots rippled into green grass. She let out a calm breath. "This place, it has some interesting magic." The Mystic Elder's hearty laugh rolled across the meadow. "I keep the village hidden to protect its people." Sue smiled at her sister. "I'm surprised you're not off somewhere saving the world again." Sabrina smirked faintly. "I am. That's why I'm here." Chapter 3 to 8. The First Encounter. A hush fell over the village as daily life slowly resumed. Fires were lit, strings of lights swayed gently in the evening breeze, and the air filled with the smell of roasted meats and herbs. Night had arrived. Sue sat at a long wooden table with Clayton, Sabrina, Barry, Robert, Ace, and several villagers. The flames of torches and fire pits painted their faces in warm orange light. Sue rested her staff against her chair, her expression softening into something serious. I know you and your team didn't come just to visit, she said, fixing her gaze on Clayton. What's going on? Clayton leaned forward, lowering his voice. We came here because we need your help. Concern darkened Sue's eyes. With what? Clayton began explaining their journey, his words deliberate. Barry, Robert, and Ace remained silent, listening closely. So, Sue said slowly when he finished, you, Sabrina, Barry, and your new allies are planning to take on the Alliance of Darkness, and you want me to join you? Do you think we're ready for a challenge like that? Clayton didn't hesitate. After seeing what you did today? Definitely, Ace grinned. You've got some amazing abilities. If your swordsmanship is anywhere close to Sabrina's, you'll be a huge help. Sue chuckled. Oh no, I'm nowhere near as good as Sabrina. Nobody is. Sabrina smirked at the flattery, saying nothing. Sue tapped her staff lightly. Besides, I traded my sword for this. I want to master illusions, tactical advantages that confuse and break the enemy. I'm assuming illusions are everyone's specialty here? Robert asked. Yes, Sue said with pride. Though most aren't nearly as advanced as the Mystic Elder, or me. What's the name of this place? Ace asked. This is the mystical village of illusions, Sue answered. Ace raised an eyebrow. Mystical village of illusions, huh? Never would have guessed. Sue burst into laughter, the tension easing briefly. They taught me some pretty incredible things. I saw how you deflected those bullets back there, she added. You're no slouch with that blade yourself. Ace's smile faded. Let's hope it'll be enough against the Alliance. Your whole team is impressive, Sue said firmly. Your odds might be higher than you think. Before Ace could reply, a calm voice interrupted. And with her help, the Alliance will face a much tougher fight than they expect. The Mystic Elder approached, his staff glowing faintly in the firelight. His words carried quiet authority. When I fought them, I underestimated the toll of age. Alone, I was unworthy. But you still have your youth use it and bring them down. Clayton, Robert, and Ace turned to him in astonishment. You actually challenged them by yourself? Clayton asked. That's incredibly brave. The Mystic Elder nodded grimly. And I barely escaped with my life. Gasps echoed around the table. What were they like? Ace pressed. The Elder raised his staff. They are beings of unimaginable power. See for yourselves. A violet orb pulsed to life at the tip of his staff. Images poured into their minds. Flashback begins. The Mystic Elder stood against the Alliance of Darkness, staff raised. One of them swatted it aside like a twig. Jungle, wings unfurling with monstrous grace, clamped a hand around his throat and lifted him from the ground, breathless and desperate. The Elder was hurled aside. He tried attacking him, but to no avail. After being beaten mercilessly, he crawled for his staff. He then clutched it and unleashed a blinding light, just enough to blind Jungle. The Elder staggered into hiding behind a ruined building, fear etched into his face as Jungle soared above, hunting. Only silence and dread remained as the vision shattered. Flashback ends. The purple glow faded. It was then I knew, the Elder said quietly, that defeating them would require incredible power. More than mine alone. His gaze fell on Sabrina. Sue told me stories of you. If the two of you join your powers, you will be unstoppable. Together, you can end the Alliance. He turned to Sabrina, his voice reverent. Your sister spoke of you as one of the greatest sword fighters to walk this earth. With both of you, there is hope. Clayton smiled proudly and patted Sabrina on the shoulder. Looks like your legend's already spreading. Sabrina gave no reply, though her smirk hinted at quiet satisfaction. At the far end of the table, Ace leaned back, staring at the stars above the village. He let the voices fade into the background. His chest tightened with memories, comrades who had fallen, battles that ended in blood. Doubt pressed at the edges of his thoughts, like a shadow he could never escape. He knew he couldn't show it. He was the team's strength, and one crack in that armor could spread like wildfire. But could he risk losing another team? Or is this his shot at redemption for those who believe in him? He swallowed the fear, hiding it beneath his steady smirk. Chapter 3 to 9, Haunting Past. Sue watches the rest of the villagers enjoying the peaceful moment. She turns back to Clayton and the Mystic Elder. Lady Sue, you should journey with them. Your powers will be a great help in the fight against the Alliance, the Elder says. What about completing the Mystic training? I'm not sure I'm ready. Sue hesitates. No one ever truly is. You are more ready than you think you are, the Mystic Elder says jokingly. Sue smiles before turning to Clayton. The more enhanced humans, the better our chances, Robert responds. Sue turns back to the Elder with excitement in her eyes. You've been preparing for this day long enough. Now go out and be a hero, the Elder says before giving her a warm hug. Tears gently flow down her cheek. All right, I'll do it. I'll try not to let either of you down, Sue responds. The evening winds down. The villagers slowly disperse back into their homes. Sue, the Elder, Clayton, and his team are the only ones left at the table. It is as if no one wants to leave the warm environment. They all know what awaits them, so they savor the joviality of the evening. Clayton, you have the shiniest bald head I've ever seen. What is your shaving regime? Ace asks, ever the joker. Clayton bursts out with laughter. Hot water and a razor with a little bit of grease. Barry turns back towards Sue and the Mystic Elder. Okay, I have to admit, seeing how those robbers freaked out earlier got me curious. Pull one of your spells on me, Barry asks. Sue looks curiously at him. It's called the Mystic Energy. You want me to trap your mind in a hallucination? Okay, who put alcohol in his drink? Ace jokes before laughter overtakes him. Barry smirks. You don't have to worry about me. I'm familiar with the samurai warrior story. I'm curious to see what it feels like, he responds. The Mystic Elder gently nods, signaling her to go for it. She smiles and aims her staff in Barry's direction. Her eyes turn purple as the orb appears in the center of the staff's head. Suddenly, Barry's eyes match the color of her staff. Barry notices the scenery around him change. He finds himself in an alien world. Brown, tan, rocks, and mountains radiate across its surface. The sky is a yellow-brown butterscotch color. The craters and hills are endless. Barry realizes he is on the surface of Mars. Wow, this is amazing, he says to Sue, only to hear nothing back. A samurai figure with a sword appears behind him. The samurai wears black and red spiked armor, its reflection catching the faint glow of the alien sky. The samurai's body language radiates anger. This is a very convincing illusion. Now I see why those thieves got so spooked. The samurai slowly begins to walk towards Barry. He believes nothing of what he's seeing is real. Okay, Sue, I get it now. You can end this illusion, he declares. Outside of the hallucination, Sue, Clayton, Ace, and the others watch Barry stare down nothing. They are amazed at how deep in a trance he is. His body is motionless. The samurai cocks his sword back and instantly races towards Barry, ready to strike. The ground cracks beneath each step. The intensity of how real the situation feels sends a chill down Barry's spine. His reflexes kick in as he draws out the dark sword and takes a fighter's stance. The look on his face reveals a serious focus, the same look he gives any enemy bold enough to challenge him. Suddenly, just as the samurai reaches point-blank range, its face briefly shifts into that of Barry's deceased brother, Alex. Alex is angry. Barry's eyes widen at the glimpse of him. The words out of Alex's mouth wound Barry to the core of his soul. "You let me die, Barry. How could you? Wait, no," Barry pleads, but it's too late. Alex's face turns back into the samurai. The purple orb in Sue's staff vanishes, pulling Barry back into the present. Instinctively, he raises his sword to block the samurai's attack, narrowly missing the mystic elder in the process. Instead of dodging, the elder doesn't move a muscle. Barry is shaken by the sudden shift in reality. The painful image of his brother is still raw in his mind. He looks horrified. Ace notices the elder's lack of movement, but his eyes linger on Barry, who is still trembling. Clayton grows concerned. "Something's not right, Barry. What did you see?" he asks. Barry doesn't respond. He drops his sword to the ground and falls to his knees. The mystic elder gives Sue a cautious look. "Susanna, what did you make him see?" Clayton repeats. "Only the surface of Mars. That's it." She defends herself. Within every illusion, the mystic samurai warrior lives. "I tried to suppress him, but it's possible the warrior presented himself to Barry," Sue explains. "Maybe the samurai scared him," Robert suggests. Clayton shakes his head, knowing better. "I highly doubt that. This is about Alex, isn't it?" Barry slowly lifts his gaze to Clayton. His voice is weak. "Yes, I saw him." Sue is shocked. "Impossible. The illusions projected from my staff are controlled by my thoughts. You couldn't have seen anything else." Sabrina tilts her head, intrigued. "So basically, the illusions are your imagination, being projected into someone else's head. Am I right?" Sue nods. Barry sits back at the table, still visibly shaken. Clayton moves to his side. "You walk around with the guilt of your brother's death on your conscience, but despite what you may believe, there was nothing you could have done to prevent it." Both Sabrina and Sue are stunned by Clayton's words. "Wait, Alex is dead?" Sue asks, her voice soft. "I'm so sorry, Barry." Barry takes a deep breath. "He was my younger brother. I can't help but feel I was supposed to protect him." Clayton places a hand on his shoulder. "And this is why you must fight. Instead of using him as a source of grief, let him be your greatest inspiration." Barry exhales, his eyes drifting toward the moon. Ace pats him on the shoulder before rising and stepping towards Sue. "Where did all this illusion stuff come from anyway? What's the deal with the samurai?" Ace asks. The mystic elder steps in. "The samurai you see inside the illusions existed long ago. He learned how to tap into the elemental arts and used its power to master the art of illusions." Elemental arts? Yes. Every member of the Alliance of Darkness is a master of the elemental art form. That's what makes them so dangerous, the elder explains. "Well, I'm glad you're on our team, Sue. Now it's time to find Jason so we can fight our real enemies," Ace says. "Who is Jason? Maybe I've seen him," Sue asks. He's about 27, styled hair, wears an all-black shirt with a jacket. "He's also enhanced," Ace explains. "Can't say I've seen him," the elder replies. "I hope you're able to find your friend and put an end to this nightmare once and for all. He's not an ordinary enhanced. He's had psychic abilities since birth." "Psychic powers?" Barry asks. "Yes, he doesn't know how to properly harness them. Nobody really knows how he got them. It must have something to do with his lineage," Ace responds. "It's time to get some sleep. I say we head straight for the Alliance first thing in the morning. Mystic Elder, can you guide us in the right direction?" Barry declares. The elder recalls his own encounter. "There is a city filled with smoke down the road. They hide their spaceship there. If you head far enough back in that direction, you will find them in the center of it. But I must warn you, the city is filled with rogue hunters guarding them. That concludes the third of 10 chapters in this exciting journey. There is much more still to come. To continue this story, head over to the next video or get the novel. The story picks back up at Chapter 4, where Sabrina and the team finally make their stand against the Alliance of Darkness. You won't want to miss what happens next. Thank you for listening.